'cause I started out with nothing and I still got most of it left.
Hello and welcome. And I will be making a journey to Koh Mak by ferry. And it'll be the last night at the Tuk Tuk Resort and the last morning on White Sands Beach. And I'll be talking about the prices here on Koh Chang. The ferry ride pick up from the resort here to the pier Bang Bell over to Koh Mak. And the taxis pick up from there and take you to the following resort. So I've got to spend the night before booking a resort so I could give them an address to deliver me to. And that cost was 600 baht, which is around £15 or euro or dollars. There's not much difference in exchange rate. But first it's back to my flop house, where a restless night awaits, and even my botanical cake from jumping didn't help. There was an intermittent bang on the tin roof of the room, and this was quite a loud bang. And I knew it wouldn't be monkeys. I'd heard monkeys scampering about before, but really they're inactive during the night. Sometimes the gusts are that strong, you can hear the trees just blowing and blowing. But it turns out there was a big wind coming off the sea. And there's a resort high up on the hill. There was a lot of shaking by the trees going on. Now the Thai people love their trees, where they're producing rubber, fruit, and nuts, and then there's even some trees where the leaves are edible. So what I thought were branches breaking through the night. Big wind. I think, see if I can shutter that feels like fiberglass, that. Not fiberglass. Asbestos. But the fence, it's in the fence, it looks like it runs along the perimeter of the place. I think now when there's big bangs. Surprised there's no rain, but I mean the rain might be coming. It's at 5 o'clock. Not a lot of sleep. The next day, I could see a large seed pod. These are similar to the mangrove trees we've seen before. A conga type seed pod with a long rod. And that's what the wind was shaking loose and banging down. And I would also guess that at low season, heavy rainfall would make these roofs quite noisy as well. Seeing the resort during the day, it seems like a cement mixer came in at the top of the bank and released its load and created the road with use of gravity. Yeah, it's definitely got an allotment built to it. I mean, that's just thin hardboard up there, 6 milli. Galvanized steel for the framework for the roof and the pitch, and tin covered, started rust on the edges. Yeah, just put together cheaply. I mean, it's comfortable. These are the things that drop down and wake you up through the night when it's windy. And just from now makes such a bang off the roof. There's a tree just overhangs it all together. You need all live cables because that's your electric feed. And you put that tape on. Yeah, it's alright for a couple of years. From the heat and the rain. It does come with its own holder on the mosquito spray. So, funny enough, it's B3 again. My last place was B3. And basically these are tin huts in the jungle. See, there's the jungle. Now I checked at the Tuk Tuk Resort because I want to be near the beach. And 900 baht is expensive for what it is. And like I say, I could have gotten it cheaper at the reception desk. So notice there's a phone number on there if you're looking for cheap accommodation. Yeah, it looks like wood panel, but it's a tin sheeting and a polished concrete. I think it's just over wood. And my go-to place from White Sands Beach is around a kilometre away, and I did book a taxi from the Mak Resort to take me, my backpack and my suitcase, but it was a taxi bike that turned up and ended up looking on Google Maps. The Tuk Tuk Resort was just 5 minutes away. An easy walk, but also still close to the beach. £39 for 2 nights, which is cheap for White Sands Beach. This is the city down area, concrete. Try and move on one hand, you can't. There's the aircon unit, which is an LG unit. There's been no problem, I just set it down to where I'm 19. Those heavy concrete benches, difficult to move, prevent you from opening the windows. But it turns out it's part of the security. And it just opens, so anybody could have come in. But over there they've got proper door knobs with the keys in. And here's one of them analog door locks. Yeah, so you still have to take the card away so you've got the aircon when you're in here. But obviously like other place, you'll still be able to charge things up when you're not in. And there's plenty of sockets. There's 2, 4, there's 5 just here, and there's another 3 here. Walking down to the beach and turning right on White Sands, you'll find 4 resorts there, just tucked in the trees at the edge of the beach. These are probably ideal as backpackers, because you can only get there at low tide. At high tide, you come off the road where the viewpoint is and come down a staircase about 100 metres below. Quaint and quirky rooms, usually with just a fan and not aircon, and the prices are around £30 per night. I say around because the Star Beach, that's only £12 per night, but that's definitely no aircon. All of the rooms have a sea view. In reality, it's a sunset view as well. You can take lovely pictures of the sunset from your bedroom. And it seems like you have your own private beach, because there's not many of the tourists will come down and turn right. Now our go-to place would be the SSP Resort. This is up the bank from White Sands Beach. So you've got about a 30-minute walk to get down to the beach. And then if you had bike hire, it's 2 minutes from the beach. The resort was almost villa-like. In this space, clean and tidy. And prices in 10 years for this resort have went up £4. So we're talking £19 for a room there in 2025. And I mention that because the open air bar that's on site, I got talking to some tourists there, and they thought it was very expensive what they paid. And they used a booking site, and they paid 2,000 baht. The price we paid was $750, but adamant leaving a negative review on the site when it's really the booking agency that jacks up the price. So it's well worth looking at social media just to reserve it. Don't pay the money. Just book the one night, see what it's like before I book other nights. My early morning swims down on White Sands Beach. I met a middle-aged Australian guy who was keeping the beach clean. I got quite friendly with him, thinking he was a tourist. But it turns out he was doing that job for a resort. And in turn, they set him up with an accommodation near the beach. So my last morning on Koh Chang, it was low tide, which means a big stretch of beach. And it's not long before the sun dries it off to that lovely white colour. Just outside on the street from the Tuk Tuk Resort, there's a Thai mini market. It's very reasonable, but they have automatic doors, and the monkeys that made a home in the reception area let themselves into the mini market and trashed the place. Apparently it was the first time, and the owner was going to get the man out to disconnect the automatic doors, so you'd have to use your hands to open the doors. So again, think monkey. Yeah, it looks like a bin when I hear. Fucking everywhere, look at that. Look at the buggers. Got the tractor place. Fucking bins out a lot. We're lounging on the bean bags. I think I'll be sitting with them tonight. Koh Chang and the islands around here suffer from ocean pushback for 6 weeks around March, which results in longer high tides than low tides. It's Jungle Island, just very steep hills. So there's lots of elephants lying asleep. It gets its name from. And probably the base of that hill down here. 5-minute walk. You come out the jungle after about 100 meters, then you're onto the beach road that runs around. You just cross through into one of the resorts. Because again, these resorts might be on the beach, but you can't own any of the beach. They've got to give you access. Looks like the tide's on its way out. There'll be a lot more beach.
But the sun soon dries out the sand.
It's looking good.
And I had the tourist price guide from 2014, 11 years ago. Here on Koh Chang, the price increase is 102 baht over the 11 year. That's an inflation of 19%. And in some countries in Europe are facing that every year, not over 11 year. In places like Turkey, hitting 30% per year is normal. And these prices are much cheaper than the islands on the west of Thailand. But that's not the end of it, because it's the exchange rate. The Thai baht always seems stronger against other currencies. 2014 was 53 baht to the pound. Now it's 43. So I'm losing out 18% on the exchange rate over the 11 years. But all in, you're talking around 3.5% inflation per year in Thailand. So I'm leaving Koh Chang on a bright sunny day.
This is a Y-shaped pier at the end of Bang Bell.
Booked from a local tour shop. 600 baht picked up from a resort and take the Bang Bao pier and then onto a fast Bonsiri ferry, and had around an hour to wait for the ferry and around 100 tourists looking for shade. I made a phone call to the tour shop and said it was normal for a wait, as I never knew how long it would take to disembark and embark, as all your luggage has to be taken by hand.
That's a lighthouse on the end of Bang Bao pier. You can see it's a working lighthouse. We stand in the shade. And it's a hot day at Koh Chang. See, it's going to get to 36. I went for a swim this morning. Actually, the sea felt cold. It's not, it's quite warm, just that the air temperature is much higher than normal.
Koh Mak is around 40 kilometres south of Koh Chang, and about that same distance to the east is the mainland of Krat, and about 5 kilometres from there you're into Cambodia. So it makes it easy to get that visa stamped, and there's no problem for tourists going back and forwards over the border. Mak Island is a cross shape, and its longest point is 16 kilometres, and it's ideal for hiring a mountain bike. There's no hills or mountains. And the main ferry terminal is to the south of the island, while my resort is to the northeast, 4 kilometres away, 11 minutes by taxi, or 30 minutes by walking.
Arriving at Koh Mak. Nice cool breeze. Just stifling Koh Chang, waiting for the catamaran to come.
And you'll notice when you come off the ferry, there's a temple to the right. That's the only bit of culture, temple-wise, that I've seen on Koh Mak.
That looks like a temple. It's got the dragons. There's some nice beaches there already. Pick it out, but it's green water. It was blue, turquoise and green. So it drops off. It took about an hour and a half to get here. There's still passengers on, and they're going off to Koh KOOD, which is a big island. That must be Koh KOOD straight over there. Bonsiri catamaran.
So the prices on Koh Chang for single person in 2025. Toyota pickup truck. Tomorrow we'll probably be collecting bananas. If you're staying in and around your resort and just going to the beach, I used the Thai mini market, which was just 10 metres from the reception. And the water's cheap enough. And the beers are the cheapest I've found in Thailand. And the Tuk Tuk resort doesn't mind you bringing them back and eating and drinking in the reception area. And there's always plenty of street food on the coast road as you go down to the beach. On a day like that, my food would come to 300 baht and drinks is 700 baht. And then your laundry's 50 baht. And I'll drop that off in the morning and pick it up when we're back to the resort. And that comes to 1,050 baht, £24 per day. And accommodation on the White Sands beach area at high season is between 600 and 3,000 baht per night per room, which may sleep 2 or 4 people. I paid 900 per night. But if you go up the bank on White Sands beach, there's the Perlas area, a string of bars and a nightclub, though at that time it was closed. And accommodation advertised there were a room for 5,000 baht per calendar month. But it gets a bit more pricey when I'm out exploring. Your food's up to 500 baht, but that includes sitting on the beach at a resort and having it on a table, as opposed to buying street food and eating it on the beach. Also, your beers go from 60 baht per bottle to 120 baht. And you should buy plenty of water from 7-Eleven when you're out. I do that and top up with juices and smoothies at the local businesses I come across. Food and drink would come in around 1,300 baht. But I've then got bike hire. Together with the fuel, that'll be another 300 baht. And the bikes can seat 2 people. Laundry would be the same, you just drop it off on the way out and pick it up on the way back in. There's plenty of Thai laundry stalls in the area. That's 1,650 baht, just less than £40, so £16 increase on living it cheap. If you have a partner, that price would be double, unless your partner's paying their own way. But I have talked to a lot of retirees in Thailand who have Thai partners, and those living costs could be treble or 4 times that. Maybe they eat more, but the price of digs is usually for a twin room or a family room. So you can see how good the road is. It's actually 4 minutes long. It runs from the ferry port to the populated centre of Koh Mak. And from the central area, a spider's web of earth roads will lead you down to the beaches and the resorts. So I used booking.com, grabbed a couple of nights at a beachside resort. I'm in the garden view. There's also a sea view. All of the cabins are on the sand, with beachfront cabins, and my cabin which backs into the jungle. Arrived in Koh Mak, Green View Resort. It looks very basic, but until island life pretty much is what they all like. But we've got shelves in this one, so there's plenty of shelf space. Lights, air conditioning, which I wasn't expecting. There's a fan. I've got 2 beds. So if I start snoring, I can go and sleep in that one. Mosquito net. It's a good sign, isn't it? I don't think you have mosquitoes in the sign. I don't think there's waterfalls or rivers on Koh Mak. But we've got a screen. Curtains are just hung up there on line, so they don't open. Couple of small mirrors. Low ceiling for the bathroom. See, basic sink, little shower and wet room in it. Yeah, wet room, toilet. That's always the place you would expect to see the mozzies, but I can't see any. Of course, if there's any, there's plenty of cracks when they come in. And Green View Resort in Koh Mak. But it's already a plus over Koh Chang. 750 baht per night. And this coming high season,
they're shown a bit cheaper at just £16 per night. And for me, far superior to the tuk-tuk, as it looks like I could spend the 2 days exploring just round here. So here you can see how popular it would be for mountain bikes to get around and explore, and why there's no waterfalls or rivers on Koh Mak. In fact, if there's ever a tsunami on Koh Mak, those communication towers are going to get pretty crowded. And the Green View Resort looks out over Koh Chang. So another chance to fly my drone. Although I tend to use it early in the morning, and nobody seems to mind.
Well, that's my bed made. And tomorrow I'm taking some of it fishing. I'll catch some of that, won't I?
So as my cabin's in the garden view side, I can show you around some of the trees and shrubs which at certain times of the year will be flowering and fruiting. And it wouldn't have been long ago that this whole area would have been thick jungle. And growing straight from the tree, these large conker-like fruits are around the size of a coconut. And these are known as your jackfruits. They're very popular in smoothies.
Mangoes. A few trees of them around. I'll be able to get for breakfast. It's a flowering hedge. Bird of paradise. With more streamlined leaf and flower than when you get in Europe. There's a garden of some interesting foliage.
And from this beach road, there's only the one resort, and it's Thai owned.
Bougainvillea. And there's a few big trees here, like this banyan tree. So we see taken with the temples in Cambodia. 70 foot tall. These are catapang leaves. Got a gardener comes round daily sweeping them up into a pile, but that's the main tree there, it's just going to drop off. If you go on eBay in the UK, dried brown leaves are £1 each. Just put them together here and have a big bonfire. And if you're a fish keeper, you know what they're used for. And there's those big red ants. I've got a train system set up. Carried a few bodies back. It's a highway to hell. An electric supply that's come to me.
There are things that do make a noise during the night, like toads and bugs. In this instance, it's a gecko.
That's a bird. Bird out like that. Well, probably New Guinea. That tree fern, that's outside my apartment. Bit of an English bush or flower, something like that. But it's such a long flower stem on them. And another one, this one's getting ready to flower. The ones that finished flowering. Start forming fruits. Flowers again.
Now we'll go to the heart of the resort, the restaurant. And you're a long way from 7-Eleven shops here. But it does serve a multitude of purposes. The laundrettes here, and even a booking office for day trips, excursions, and from continuing on from here to KOH KOOD. And this is our restaurant, so the cabins are in front of the restaurant. It looks like they're opening a bit early. They all come here on the bikes. The homes are somewhere else. Normally it's 9 o'clock till 10:30 for breakfast. But obviously they've got to come here a bit early, get sorted out. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and add a like.
So we're trying goon pad prick glue, stir fried shrimp with garlic and chilli. We're doing that next. In the meantime, there's this Thai yellow curry and rice, which is recommended on trips.com. There you go, just having a breakfast. This is a restaurant. Finishes breakfast at 10. I got here at about must be 10:05. So there wasn't much choice. But help yourself to coffee. Oh, that's a change. I found a shop because I took a wrong turn as I left the resort. And if I'd have went the other turn, my gasoline was right there because I was low on gas. So I found other resorts, but all of them didn't sell gasoline. I come back there so that way to get it. But I found another turn. There's no road marked, so I think I'll see if I can spin around. Get a nosy Italian kid there, muscling in on my action. So this is a goon pad prick glue, which is stir-fried shrimp with garlic and chili sauce, and a few vegetables thrown in. And they do a coffee as well. You don't want to see the green light out there, but that's the fishermen fishing for the squid. Yeah, the green light just flashed away there. The squid and I think it's cuttlefish or fish flow. There's a nice ambience in the restaurant. This is 10 o'clock, just when breakfast finished. And that's how the sea's looking today. It's a bit of haze and cloud, but it's brightening up all the time. I must have can't fault the breakfast. You have a dozen things to choose from each morning, and they'll fill you up. So what we have here is a bottle of sake from Japan. Same vodka, but they make it with rice grain. And this bottle, yeah, it looks cute. It's actually got a metal jacket to it. But it's best drinking at night time, and I'll show you why. But at night time, or in the dark, it has a Peckham Spring look about it. That would be a good idea to call it Fukushima Firewater. But no. Japanese went for, can we get into that? For fuck's sake. And I tell you, it goes down like a thick creamy water. Nothing in your mouth. Then it gets stuck in your throat and comes back up, and it's spicy. And that just leaves the shoreline, which has been shared by 20 or so guests, plus whoever else visits the resort. And all around the island you'll see small boats, and these can be hired out. And the Thai owners will take you to the best places for snorkeling on nearby islands. And this place is ideal for couples and families. There's even a small playground on the beach. And the water is crystal clear, and as you can see, there's no big waves. And as restaurants normally have a fish tank where you can pick your food from, the seafood here is all kept out in a pen. And I did decide I would swim out to take a look, but really you can wade out. It's that shallow. Half a kilometre away is a cinnamon pier, which you can swim or wade to. And I was advised not to follow the tree line directly there, but take the 4-kilometre road. A 30-minute walk, or hire a bike. And the small pier, I seat around a dozen people. There's 2 benches there, but there's only 1 sunbed. And I had that to myself for 2 days, thanks to a scary green dolmen. As high as I can go. One had the gimbal on before. Just kind of get close. There's a pair of kingfishers, and they hang around the pier and the trees in the pier, especially at high tide. They're blue. see one sticking out on the branch. So off my resort, these are pens where the fish are trapped or the fish are kept. So it's your fresh fish food. And a good 200 meters out. There you go. And you can walk out. You can see the sand and just walk round the sandy bits and the green water. And the rock areas are covered with seaweed. So it's perfectly safe for swimming, and there's quite a few young children here as well. As a defense mechanism against predators, geckos can drop their tails.
Waouh. On va sortir de là. Et elle vient de bouger. Hop, il a bougé, il est rentré dans la tonne. Là où monsieur est.
Oh, it had its head out. There's no. I'm a first snake that I've seen in Thailand. Using my phone, Google told me that it wasn't dangerous. But then someone else used their phone and said it was slightly venomous. So the pier was vacated. I must have spotted it yesterday and come run up because I was sunbathing underneath it. I just thought, oh, this is why I've got a cabin on the pier all to myself. It's green, black stripy. We just call him the doorman. But on the plus side for Koh Mak, I've never seen any monkeys or elephants. So there is a resort at the end of the Cinnamon Pier, and you've got easy access to these two islands, and they rent kayaks out. And that tree line in the distance behind there is the beach I'll put the name up. If you're looking for Google Maps, you'll put it as a restaurant. And that's the length of the pier. It's been easy to build because it's not that deep. Yes, on the pier you've got a few benches. You've got just one bed here. Sunbathe on. But most people just tend to come up with their belongings here on the bench table, and off they go into the sea. But that's quite good. I mean, it's quiet. The tourists out here aren't noisy. Mainly just the families or the couples. And like a family that was just seen go to a restaurant, Italian family, 5 of them, they hired an electric cart, like a golf buggy. So they're out about dinner time, toddling around. And it's weird because I went to other resorts. The Cinnamon Pier is a resort really. And you'll see people there and you talk to them, and next thing you know they're at your resort getting some food. And then you'll go somewhere else and you'll see them again, all the same day. That's how small the island is. You'll recognise people again and again. But it's much laid back and quiet. I wouldn't say the really young people coming here for like they would do in jumping even. There's no nightlife other than the resorts. And you'll see the resorts is advertised what entertainment you've got on. So it's up to you if you thought, oh I like that but it's not my resort. If it's marked as a restaurant and resort, you can go. You just go and join in. There's no grab or board. So you've got to arrange here from the resort or you tuk-tuk or hire a motorbike. And the motorbike's fine, it's great. I drove last night in the dark and it's okay, just take your time. So now it's time we'll go and have some breakfast.
Can you teach an old dog new tricks? Yes,
For swimming and snorkeling off my resort, the water is quite shallow and you're just chasing the fish, and the fish are good at evading you, and what you really need is a coral reef where the fish feel safe and not hang around it, and you need to go further out for that. Next time I will be exploring Koh Mak. We'll look at an iconic pier and one of the highly rated sunset spots, as well as the top beaches and one of the best food places that I've ever found in Thailand. In fact, my previous favourite was a Chinese restaurant in Bangkok, but I was never able to find it again. But this one I will return to. So this next episode we're going to complete with the Golden Triangle, those golden years of your life. With 3 islands where you can come from winter sun, and it's not as expensive as you would think. But a double Golden Triangle, as it's easy to get to 3 other countries from here, so overstaying your visa would not be a problem, and an easy commute with a short ferry ride. So on Ngam Island, there's not a car ferry to bring transport over. So where the Thais might not own a car on Koh Mak, they do have boats, and they can be hired out to take you onto other islands or just out snorkeling.